Dragon Ball GT, you are forgiven. This is my next review of Dragon Ball GT. After watching that god-awful Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods actually accomplished its mission. It made me forget about GT. It made me forget about GT and focus solely on Dragon Ball Z, and Battle of the Gods. All of my hatred will be turned to those three series right now. That's your new Dragon Ball trilogy now. GT is no longer a part of the Dragon Ball trilogy. And you know what? As much as I used to like to bash Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball GT is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty awesome and a total improvement over the Dragon Ball franchise. Over the Dragon Ball franchise. Dragon Ball was crap. Dragon Ball Z was better than that, but that was also crap. Then of course Battle of the Gods, and that was the worst piece of garbage ever. So garbage it makes the Boo Saga looks good. In my opinion, that has made me totally hate Dragon Ball Z. To see Dragon Ball Z reduced to what it was in Battle of the Gods actually made me respect Dragon Ball GT, because Battle of the Gods makes all the same mistakes GT made, and it's worse than Dragon Ball GT, and just one of the biggest disappointments ever. But Dragon Ball GT, they actually improved most of the problems I had with Dragon Ball, the entire Dragon Ball series. First of all, the one thing I like about GT is that they chose to be just like Dragon Ball Evolution. Dragon Ball Evolution. That's a campy action series, and it's an action series with a decent to good script or story centered around the characters. The characters in GT on its own does that. And GT, another reason it's not part of the series anymore is because Dragon Ball GT has so many plot reckonings, plot holes, and changes to the story that it makes that Dragon Ball GT, even though it is set, I think 5 to 10 years after Dragon Ball Z, it makes it more of an adaptation like Dragon Ball Evolution and the other two Dragon Ball films, the 1990 Korean film and the 80s film, The Magic Begins. The Magic Begins. It makes it more of an adaptation like those, because it features stuff from all over, like Cooler being in there. You see him as one of the villains escaping from hell. Then of course you later see all the bad guys from hell with bodies, even though the manga and the anime indicate that you don't get to keep your body in hell. So yeah, so like I said, GT, they have much better fighting. You actually saw real fighting and real ki and stuff like that, just like in DBE. None of this all that teleporting in loop fighting in a loop for several hours that we had to watch in Z, which is, by the way, not in the manga. You actually saw real fights, like Goku Super Saiyan 4 versus Baby. That whole fight was awesome. The fights with the last last four Shadow Dragons was awesome. The earlier fight with Legend, the guy with the swords, that was pretty awesome. The fights with Ryodo, and of course the fights with Super Android Android 13, Super Android 17, not 13. Then of course you got the villains escaping from hell. Good nostalgia, even though I thought they got killed off way too fast. Good nostalgia right here, seeing all these past bad guys back. Only problem I have with that, besides them being killed off too fast, was that Raditz, who you can see in the far left escaping from hell along with the other villains, was beaten up and sent to hell by the Z Fighters off screen. Going back to the story, in my opinion, is much better. Okay, in the beginning, I think Black Star Dragon Ball Saga, I thought that was terrible, but it was still entertaining and engaging. The first problem I had with it was how it peel off know where the balls were. The second problem I had with it was the fact that they pretty much once again let something bad happen. Let something bad happen. But one thing I liked about it was I enjoyed the adventures of Goku, Pan, and Trunks. That whole adventure arc was awesome. That race across the universe to find the balls before Earth explodes. The only problem I had is you could have prevented that. Then, of course, but much later on in the Shadow Black Saga, Black Star Dragon Saga, I liked how finally they were finally punished for constantly misusing the balls. I hated the constant misuse of the balls in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Then come Dragon Ball Z, I hate how they never learn. They never learn to survive on their own. They never learn to try to better themselves to prevent danger. They never try to prevent danger. They always allow bad stuff to happen. Here, they were punished for their constant misuse of the balls. Once again, no more of that watering it down for kids. And one of the more tragic parts, this part made me really respect Piccolo. Of course, there was his sacrifice, which really made me respect Piccolo choosing to stay on Earth and die, even though there was so much wrong with that. Then, of course, later in Hell, when Goku got trapped in Hell by Frieza and Cell, Piccolo pretty much sacrificing his freedom in heaven, his life in heaven, to go to hell, to go to hell and end up having to spend an eternity in hell, all to help Goku get back to Earth so he can beat Super Android 17. That right there made me really respect Piccolo, the sacrifices. Vegeta. I hate Vegeta, but he was awesome in this series. First off, he wasn't important until the later arcs with Baby. Throughout the whole first arc, he wasn't important. He wasn't important to the later arcs with Baby, so he's not being shoved down my throat like he is in in Z. Next, Vegeta. Vegeta is the way he should have been the whole entire series. If he has to stay a good guy, in my opinion, he should have been killed off. But if he has to stay a good guy, this is the way Vegeta should have been. First of all, he has the cool biker gear to fully accept that he's accepted Earth as his own. Next, he did everything in his power to protect his family and friends, and did everything in his power to try to save the Earth. Yes, he got Super Saiyan 4 to help Goku and the others. Sure, he still has the friendly rivalry with Goku, but he puts his duties as Earth's protector first, something he didn't do in Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball Z, he constantly allowed bad stuff to happen and pretty much caused most of their problems. Here, he actually got to the Super Saiyan 4, so he could help Goku. Vegeta was much better here. Trunks and Goten were much better here. I love Goten's new slacker personality. I don't mind him being weak. They didn't deserve the Super Saiyan power to begin with. Trunks, he's more like the, at least personality-wise and battle tactics-wise, he's more like the future Trunks. Not that dumb little kid, cocky, arrogant kid Trunks I had to put up with in Dragon Ball Z Buu Saga. He grew up. Bulma is much more tolerable here. Hercule is much more tolerable here. I actually respected him when he stood up to Baby. I didn't care at all about his hero moment in Dragon Ball Z with Majin Buu, which I'm going to be talking about in the Buu Saga. Then, of course, total improvement over the original series. Better bad guys. Baby. Especially also when Baby took over Vegeta's body, became Baby Vegeta. Then, Omega Shenron, Super Android 17. So yes, better bad guys. Baby had more of a purpose. Was probably the best character, best bad guy in Dragon Ball Z. His backstory, his purpose in the series. Going back to watering it down for kids. Unlike in the Buu Saga, where Goku pretty much chose to protect Vegeta's pride and life, here he knew Baby inside Vegeta's body was dangerous, and Goku was willing to sacrifice Vegeta's body to do whatever it took to save the Earth by killing Baby inside Vegeta's body. But before Baby, of course, jumped out and tried to escape. So yes, no more watering it down for kids. No more of that watering it down for kids crap. Then, of course, going back to that, Goku finally corrected his character after so much de-evolution in DBZ. Finally, Goku as a Super Saiyan 4, he's more violent, he's still cocky, but he's more violent and more aggressive than ever, which is what he should have been in Z, not letting Frieza go. No mercy, no mercy. He gives them a couple of chances, and it's it. He kills them. He kills the bad guys. So yeah, Dragon Ball GT is all forgiven. And I actually liked Dragon Ball GT until I saw better shows. But then even then, I still watched and enjoyed GT. And now I was also hating GT, of course, because Dragon Ball Evolution was out. Now that Dragon Ball Evolution is coming on, now that GT is coming on, I can sit back and enjoy these two. And speaking of these things, Dragon Ball GT, all the problems with GT, I can blame Toriyama for. Because first off, he created the Majin Buu saga. He created a bad guy that you can't stop. A bad guy that you can't stop, an overpowered, bland bad guy. That was what Majin Buu was. How are they going to top that? Then, and judging this show on its own, Toriyama, for some odd reason, that's how it is with Dragon Ball Z. Whenever he is not involved with a project, it's actually good. Whenever he is regulated to drawing characters, which is in my opinion, the only thing he's actually good at. He can't come up with a good story to save his life. Then when he does come up with a good story, he always messes it up. So, him being regulated to drawing character designs and leaving someone else to come up with stories is pretty much an improvement. Dragon Ball Evolution, GT, the other two Dragon Ball films did not have any involvement from him, and they were awesome. They were awesome stuff. So yeah, Dragon Ball GT, you are forgiven. Battle of the Gods, beware.